Well, yeah. I mean, I was going to ask about that. So you host a national show on Foul Territory TV, and before we get into the A stuff, I kind of want to just get into. I mean, your company is it's barely a year old now, right? You started last year, right? And it's I've it's been all over my timeline since you guys started. So I mean, congrats on all the success and how cool is it to kind of have just see it grow like the way it has the past few months, and how did you get the idea to start it and everything?
Thank you. No, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. It's been awesome. Yeah, we're about a year and a few months in. So
Yeah.
it launched at the WBC time period right before the season started
Yeah.
last year. WBC already feels like 5 years ago, but it
Yeah.
wasn't. But what I did was say, okay, if I'm a modern consumer and I'm obsessed with baseball, how would the modern baseball landscape look? Right. Like I worked at MLB for years. If I scrapped this all down and built it back up my own way, like if you bought a house and said, okay, I want to build it my way, what would it look like? What would it sound like? Who would be involved? What would be your mission statement? Who would you interact with? Right. Who would you talk to as a guest every day? Like what would be your formats? And that's what we're doing here. So we started with Foul Territory. We have now built a network of shows that continue to launch. And we have local team shows like Dodgers Territory, Northside Territory, which is a Cubs pod, and the Braves podcast Hammer Territory. But Foul Territory is there, Fair Territory is there. Foul is all about the player perspective, but to bring it to life with authentic baseball conversations, it's not just like cool players are the best. It's like, no, these are critics
Yeah.
who will praise or critique anything, players, teams, owners, rules, umpires, you name it. It should sound the way that it sounds if you were sitting at a dinner table with AJ Persinski and Eric Kratz and Todd Frazier and Adam Jones, and then even take it to the guest level, right? I want to be at that table when they're talking to Mike Trout and just be a fly on the wall and listen to what they would say. So that's what I think was created with the interviews. But then I also wanted it to sound like an entire baseball show and get your comprehensive news and authentic takes on a crazy play or a quote or a trade.
Yeah.
FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal does that. He breaks half the trades. So it's been a dream. It's been a faster rise and crazier run than I thought it would be, but I'm having by far the time of my life. This is my calling. And I loved what I did previously, but it doesn't touch what I'm doing now in any way, from schedule to people I work with to what we put out there.
That's awesome, man. That's great. Yeah. And what's it like to work with Trevor May? I mean, Trevor May was only with the A's for about a year, but he was brought on earlier this year, and he was always even in that year, A's fans got to know him as just being hilarious. And what is he like to work with, and what has he brought to your guys show?
Exactly what you would expect, because the way that he acts publicly is the way that he acts when we're on a production call or we're just talking ball. Like there's been a few times
Yeah.
where we have a show and I text him because I'm excited about something that might be a little bit nerdier, like a little bit like more stat oriented or using some more advanced stats, and we'll go back and forth about it and be like, yeah, we gotta show the world what a dead zone fastball is. And, I'll ask a player about it, one of our guests, and be like, yo, this player knew all about it, or this player calls it something else. So he's a cool baseball nerd, right? Because he's a monster. He's like 6'5", super athletic, super well spoken, deep voice. But then he can absolutely nerd out with you on baseball stats and stories. But he also fits our motto of authenticity. And he hinted at things that were going weirdly when he was there. And as soon as he announced his retirement, he was like, okay, let's unveil some things going on here in Oakland. And I know that everyone appreciates that. So he's one of a kind. He's a superstar. He's great.
Scott, I don't exactly know your baseball background, but like you're like, not an MLB player or anything.
Oh,
It's so did you play in high school or nope?
I played Little League. No. So I played Little League.
Uh-huh.
My farthest sport by far was basketball. I played through high school. I
Oh,
ended
okay,
up
okay.
be a
Yeah.
broadcaster at a young
Once they
age.
started,
I was better
oh,
at
so yeah.
basketball. I was more aggressive within that sport. I weighed a lot more than I did now, so I could bang down low and get some rebounds too. But to answer your question though, quick, I'm a host, right? I'm a host. I'm an opinion. I'm the voice
Yeah.
of the fan. I'm the point guard.
But in, on a show that is the whole, like, sort of the hook of the show is that, like, these are professional baseball players giving these like unvarnished truths, and this, when you listen to your show, you really feel like you're learning something about being what, talking, what conversations amongst professional ball players must be like what, I mean, I guess it's almost, it's in some ways it's almost like the dream of like a fan's dream, where you get to just like end up hanging out with all these guys and becoming one of their confidants and stuff. What's that like? I mean, obviously the professionally, it's great that it's all working out, but you must pinch yourself sometimes, being like, oh, I got these like ball players who just like calling me and want to just chat about stuff all the time.
Yeah, I'm not good at that. Like, I am decent at appreciating certain moments, but I'm not good at looking around and being like, damn, like, how cool is this? I'm in a room with 10 superstar baseball players and we're chatting ball. It's not a lack of appreciation. I just get very much in a zone. What's my job?
Yeah.
What do I have to do? And I want to make sure that everyone else feels comfortable and taken care of. At the same time, I think it can be a blessing sometimes because I don't get lost in the moment where you're like, oh crap, wait, I have a job to do. I have to get us to the next topic, or there's a guest waiting for us, or obviously it's a free show, so we have sponsors. So the overall coolness factor, I think, comes out when I am in person sitting at a Vegas poker tournament that we're doing for BetMGM, and we have our show, and then we go play poker, and I'm sitting with a bunch of my friends that are on foul territory, and then we go for dinner afterwards. Like, that's the cool part, right? Where you get to just hang out with them as people and hear stories. I would say the best part of being in baseball media over my entire career is getting the inside info. And whether that's info that can be shared publicly or not, it's just super cool to hear stories, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what everybody loves. Like, when I was calling games more consistently
Yeah.
on a national level and did like the YouTube game of the week for years, we would be in the manager's office, which is what any national broadcast does. And you get about 15-ish minutes with each manager. During that time of my life, that was by far my favorite part of the job, because you get to sit down with a manager off the record, and he's going to tell you some things you can use on the game broadcast, some things you can't. He's going to also tell you some things that you can use later on. Like, hey, this dude's actually sick right now, and he's only probably going to give you 50 pitches, but don't talk about that until he's coming out later on, right? So it's really cool. That part, access wise, is awesome. We had production meetings where, when I was at the league working at the TV network, and then we do that here too. And those meetings are fun, every day, especially before the show, when we're going over what we make sure we want to talk about and who the guests are. You get stories mixed in there too. So that's the good stuff. That's why we all watch and have fun with this, right? How it's like, if you went to a bar with your buddy for the day and you wanted to watch a game, and you're just hanging out, having a beer, talking about, whatever you see authentically. That's the part that I didn't have for most of my life and career as an adult. Was I felt like I was an actor at times, because you work for a league. That's just what comes with it. And it's the same thing with a team. You guys see that more than probably any other team in baseball, right? If you're an A's employee, it is probably difficult to swallow your pride sometimes and be like, yeah, everything's great here. We used the Braves logo for a promo video, but everything's great.
Yeah. No, yeah. That was pretty brutal.